Hey, it's Soul, and this is Warcraft Weekly, but is this really a weekly, or is it just me covering a bunch of small details about the War Within expansion alpha stuff that we might have missed? Yeah, it's mostly that, but if you could, hit the like button, subscribe for more coverage, and catch me live on Twitch. The War Within Alpha dropped like a bomb on Wednesday, with the media and creators waiting to be let out like dogs before vomiting information out, myself included. A big thanks to the WoW team for letting me in on that, but let's focus on you. With the alpha starting, invites have gone out and will probably keep going out with each build. We're assuming that it's going to be like pretty much every week. Now you can hit this link here somewhere in the description or wherever to make sure that you're signed up, and then just check your client. If you happen to get an email saying that, hey, you're in the alpha or the beta, but your client doesn't reflect that, delete the email, it's fake. Then get mad because your emotions got played, and yeah, it's kind of messed up. There's already tons of information out there covered by folks like me and other creators and fan sites. The WoW team also produced more than a few of their own videos covering skywriting and delves, and we can't be mad at them at getting in front of these sorts of conversations. So I'm going to cover some smaller observations that we've made, news that might have been buried under more news. That sound good? Cool, glad we're in agreement. The new capital of Dornogal is on target to be the closest we'll get to straight up replacing the current capital cities of Orgrimmar and Stormwind. It's a huge city, and it's got everything from your usual amenities like a bank and profession stations, which, by the way, make for the largest part of the city. Like in Dragonflight, it's got an auction house, usable by everyone, and the black market is conveniently nearby. Here's what's new though, Dornogal also includes the trading post station. It could be that maybe in later builds we see the trading post in every capital city in World of Warcraft, which could be pretty cool, but for now this sends the message that Dornogal is made to be like kind of this one-stop shop for everything outside of maybe portal rooms. The city even includes an area for the revival catalyst. There's no flying off to wherever anymore. With every convenience available and a really big space, this gives off a sort of vibe that we see in other RPGs, where on the surface, like, you have this relatively safe hub with the full city life, but then nearby is the entrance to the dungeon where horrors and adventure and your future ex-girlfriend await. I can envision the WoW team giving Dornogal special attention when it comes to even zone sharding, and could consider maybe higher player caps to give the city a real bustling feel. One other highlight to point out, there are multiple tunnels and throughways in Dornogal, and some lead to these cool little lounges. One of them happens to house a Bakar-like puppy named Captain, and he's cuddling with a stuffed Murloc toy. Oh, I'm just gonna leave this here for 5 seconds. Data mining also uncovered the Dance of the Earthen Allied Race. Let's have a look at that for a little bit too. The Appearances tab now lets you switch over to different classes so you can see where you're at. This applies to both individual pieces and full sets. Additional filters have been added to show class and race specific pieces too. Humans from Stormwind and Kultiris may sport short, pointy ears in the future, bringing us one step closer to our real dream, looking more like goblins. Meanwhile, Void and Blood Elves may have options for short, rounded human ears. I'm actually kind of good with this. Like, we're introducing what I guess is an implication of cross-race relationships outside of notable families like the Windrunners. What's sad though is that the main reason I'm excited for this on my Blood Elf is strictly because I want to be able to wear a full helmet, but I mean, the helmet that I want to wear is being penetrated by my ears right now, which even after recent changes, they're still way too long. And let's not get started on like the eyebrow stuff. So really all I want is some consistency with which full helmets hide facial features and, which don't, but I'll take this too. We've got new information on the 13th Delve as explained through previews and interviews. According to those, completing all delves at the highest difficulty will unlock this final encounter meant to have Mage Tower-like difficulty, which sounds great until we keep talking about it. Like, how are they going to balance that among the different roles and specializations that we've got? We probably won't find that out until this goes live for the sake of giving us like that kind of surprise. But what kind of message is this not so hidden delve supposed to send? Because delves were initially sold as a fourth pillar of content, directly mostly towards players who almost exclusively stick to outdoor world stuff. There's also supposed to be a path to hero level gear, and we've already learned that clearing the toughest delves will give champion level gear. The thing is though, delves are also group agnostic and can scale from 1 to 5 players. I think that no matter what, even this 13th delve or encounter or whatever is I don't think it's ever going to be that hard once it goes live, at least not until we get like a decent amount of gear. Whether it gives a one-time cosmetic reward or if it's part of the weekly requirement for hero gear, I guess I'd be okay with that, but how about you? Straight from the mouth of Ian Heselkostas, early into the War Within expansion, Drexler will be able to roll as classes other than Evoker. Nice. It also sort of means that while there might be still a 1 Evoker per server restriction, it won't be a 1 Dracthyr per server restriction, you know what I mean? So we should see a bunch more Sky Lizards in the near future. I was compelled to triple check this because people were asking in comments. You definitely cannot collect transmog from gear that is not assigned to your class. So what I did was I went into the Tomb of Sargeras in the alpha, I downed a boss, and 2 cloth pieces dropped. This is on my paladin, by the way. One was meant for a mage, and that did not unlock. One did not have a class assigned to it, and it did unlock. I wanted to point this out because some people are thinking that this whole class restriction thing applies only to tier tokens and not just straight up gear that drops. Now, what I'd love to see in the future is, at the very least, a way for armor crafting classes to have a way to craft a complete ensemble that matches the offset pieces that drop from more recent raids. Transmog collectors like me can feel me on this. Like, as a paladin, I can collect some warrior pieces, but not all. So again, it'd be really cool if there was a way to just get 1 color of the complete set, so I could at least have a, I could have a kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm cosplaying as a warrior kind of vibe. And collectors can feel some sense of cohesiveness with their set, while the full appearance and all the colors is still something that that class has to learn. So then those folks can speak their own, like, hey, look at me, I got this because I love my class that much. The way transmog appearances unlock are changing just a little bit. Check this out. I was doing some testing and I crafted a few weapons. Now notice how my paladin can't use this particular weapon, but you can see that there's an on use for this piece. Add this appearance to your warband collection. So okay, cool, let's see what this does. When I click on it, I'm prompted that this will be added as new transmog, but the item itself will become warband until equipped. Now this is kind of neat. It lets me skip the step of having to trade this item to an alt who can use it, but it still offers the opportunity to actually save it for an alt later if I don't happen to have one. Let's move over to more current stuff. The upcoming Monday reminder is going to give you all the details that you need about the upcoming Season 4, but let's talk about some of the last minute changes and developments surrounding it. Patch notes at one point made it clear that the Awakened affix would rotate every 2 weeks, followed by opening up all the raid difficulties, but in the hours since, the WoW team changed their stance, and now this whole Awakened affix thing is going to rotate each week only once, and then all the raids will be considered awakened. This could be good or bad depending on who you are. In a way, this avoids stagnation. 2 weeks of raid 1 and then raid 2 and then raid 3 would mean pretty much 6 weeks of waiting to go back to raid 1. This keeps things fresh. On the other hand, not everyone's wired that way, and having to go into a different type of raid each week might be jarring for some. Some folks wanted to take advantage of the unawakened version of the raid with the upcoming season's item level to pretty much smoke them, all for the purpose of collecting transmog and mounts and so on. The window to do that before all the raids become awakened, it's been cut in half. It would be nice if there was a way to preserve those older difficulties. I mean, they didn't in Shadowlands, and there's no telling if they're going to do it this time either. Of course, we also have 10.2.7 and the Pandaria remix coming out. There's no telling what gamers are going to do if we're still on this first round of Awakened raids and then a bunch of people are diving into something else. It's like a first world dilemma, like, oh no, there's too much fun and not enough time. How dare you, Blizz, trying to increase our time played. Speaking of that, data mining strongly suggests that the Pandaria remix is going to start 1 week after the launch of 10.2.7, giving us some time to do other stuff like the Heritage Armor and Darkheart questlines, assuming that they'll be immediately and fully accessible. Then for some of us, it's off to Pandaria for some leveling, or Season 4 collections, or Alpha, and maybe beta testing War Within, and then Cataclysm Classic, and maybe the next season of Discovery shortly after that too. And by the way, the possible release of this next patch, I'm gonna say about a month from now. There is a ton going on though, and in the coming weeks and months, you're going to learn more about what's happening in the War Within, and wherever I can, it's going to be spoiler free. That's gonna be the show, and I'm tired, I'm pretty beat. It's more than just the hustle of wanting to get things out first. Like, there are ups and downs to that. There are risks that, what I reveal might turn out to be like super wrong just a day later. But it's also like the, whoa, whoa reaction whenever I learn something new, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta like share this with people because this sounds exciting or concerning or both. You're likely to see me do a lot of coverage of professions, just like I did in the last expansion. I see in the comments, I've been seeing in the comments over the past couple of years, a very mixed bag of reactions from folks who totally loved or hated professions during Dragonflight. I happen to love them, but it's because I tested and I studied and I experimented on the alpha and the beta. Some folks really wanted professions to feel like just a mini game or a mission table. I happen to want to really role play the motions of crafting cool stuff and offering my services. And hey, not everyone likes that. Not everyone had the opportunity to dive in the way that I did. The WoW team did not do a great job with the profession learning curve. And for my part, I could have done better at helping the community learn. So I'm going to campaign hard to make professions more accessible for folks, easier to learn, while still providing the depth and the roleplay that they're trying to offer. So stay tuned right here for coverage on that. Let's give a huge thanks to the chat on Twitch for hanging with me for all the coverage, to our patrons and their support, including newcomer Jonathan, thank you for helping out, and to you viewer, thanks. You made it to the end, you fed the algorithm, so hit the like button, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.